Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Team Goon Squad Cup Series race number 6. And we are here today at North Wilkesboro Speedway preparing for yet another fantastic day of racing here today. Drivers currently on the starting grid. Let's go ahead and run through where our drivers are going to be starting in today's race. Up in the front row, we have Jaden Hopp, Howie Briss. Second row, Matthew Fitz and Aaron Smith. Third row, Carlos Steele and Dylan Meyer. Fourth row, Nicholas Lovell, Charles Jurek. Fifth row, Michael Keithley and Max Neuwirth. Sixth row is Nick Beaver and Vernon Margim. Moving on down the grid here, we have James Coulibaly, Sean Williams in our 7th row, Paul Mikolajczyk and Nicholas Koressel in our 8th row. Patrick Colby, Scott Shire in our 9th row with Gareth McAllister and Michael Ashmore taking up our final row here today. As drivers just patiently await for the time to tick down here and for the pace car to make its first official lap around the track here today as we get things geared up and ready to go. If you were not around for last week's race at Watkins Glen International, you will have seen where Aaron Smith took away the win. Jaden Hopp coming away in 2nd and Nick Beaver finishing out in 3rd place, the first road course race of the season. And it was an exciting one to say the least. Drivers underway here, making their way around the track here for the first time, for the first official laps here today as we get things geared up and ready to go here tonight. And we'll see who is going to come away victorious. Jaden Hopp, Howie Briss up in the front row. Aaron Smith, Matthew Fitz back in that 2nd row. Jaden Hopp, after last week's race, moving up into that 3rd place spot in the point standings and looking to secure some more points this week. We'll see what he's going to be able to accomplish here in these opening laps. Aaron Smith also coming away off of a win here, going to be looking to accomplish some good points here as well. Aaron Smith has been on a very, very good run the past few weeks, and we will see how the rest of the field is going to be looking as we get things geared up and ready to go. Howie Briss, that number 97 machine, looking on the outside, hasn't quite had probably the season that he's really been hoping for, but has an opportunity today to make a change to that. As the green flag goes down, we go to green flag racing. Howie Briss trying to get a good run along the outside here as best as he can, and he manages to do so. The 97 machine out of 3 and 4, able to get out ahead of Jaden Hopp here for the first time before lap 2. And in the midfield, we've got a few battles happening around 1 and 2. Coming out to the back straightaway, it's Jurek and Nicholas Lovell that are going to be side by side. Carlos Steele, the 256, gets a little dicey there for a moment, and we've got trouble in the mid-pack. Scott Shire, Nick Beaver, the 25 machine, Gareth McAllister. A couple drivers, just to name a few, in this incident. Let's take a quick look at the Team Goon Squad instant replay. We'll watch from Gareth McAllister here. And it all starts to happen just out ahead of him and unfortunately collects Scott Shire in this mix. Let's see if we can look at this again from Nick Beaver's perspective. There it is. Carlos Steele gets a little loose and everyone else starts to check up. You can see Michael Keithley, the 53 Burger King machine, also one of the drivers trying to avoid all of that. But unfortunately, that is enough to get the field to be shown a yellow flag, and we will get the drivers lined back up, stacked back up, and ready to go for another chance, another restart here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Lap 4 of 190. A lot of laps still left to turn here, but you gotta make them clean in order to get to make that happen here. So drivers still gotta get the kinks worked out. Got to get a feel for how the race is going to go here at North Wilkesboro. A very challenging short track here, a little bit flat, not quite as much banking angle as some drivers may prefer here, but these again are known as more of a driver's track, and it will test a lot of these drivers' ability to stay fast but also stay in contention for any battles, any points. Whatever they are fighting for here today, it is definitely going to be challenging, to say the least. Howie Briss, Jaden Hopp, still your front runners. Matthew Fittston, Dylan Meyer going to be in that second row. Dylan up 2 spots from where he started at the very beginning of today's race. And Carlos Thiel and Nicholas Lovell taking up that third row. Nicholas Lovell pushing his way up into that 6th place spot, and Carlos Thiel staying right where he was. But Carlos being the man that kind of started the yellow flag here, you could say, but I don't think, obviously was not intentional on Carlos's part. Things do happen here, and especially at North Wilkesboro. So for Carlos, it's definitely going to be a little bit of an eye-opener as we go single file for this restart. Howie Briss takes the green flag. We are back to green flag action here at North Wilkesboro for the second time here today, taking a little bit of a look from above from the blimp camera here at North Wilkesboro, or at least as much as we could there. Not quite a great angle, but Nicholas Lovell has a great angle on his 5th place spot here as he makes his way on the inside of the 256, and Charles Jurek also looking to do the same here. Try and make those positions early on as drivers towards the back of the pack try and scramble their way. A few of these drivers being involved in that incident that brought out the caution, having to now scramble their way back up to the front of the field. Michael Keithley, the Burger King 53 machine, finding himself a little bit on ice there for a second, manages to bring it back together. Sean Williams now going to be down to the inside of Carlos Thiel. Carlos not going to let that one on by too easily here. You can also see Vernon Margheim, I believe that's actually how that's properly said here, the number 33 machine. The first time that I've seen Vernon here. The 33 machine doing a phenomenal job, keeping himself right in the middle of this 2 wide, 2 deep pack. As Patrick Colby also looks to try and get himself involved in this action here as well. Vernon gonna drop back behind the number 10 of Nick Beaver. Beaver right on the tail of Paul Mikolajczyk. And Paul with a very unique paint scheme here today. The first time that I'm seeing it here, but it is definitely becoming one of my favorites here. Just the eyes and the teeth and the mouth. It's a great little combination that we have here, but man, it is only getting spicier here in the midfield. Howie Briss able to build up a little bit of distance between himself and the rest of the pack. Jaden Hopp really the only driver that he's got to worry about. But as for the rest of the field, everyone is kind of finding their own groove here, or at least trying to find their own groove here. Right on board here for just a minute with Aaron Smith. And you can, this is a great view, a great perspective of just how flat. Granted, it doesn't look flat, but when you compare it to tracks like Michigan International Speedway, Talladega, you can, Bristol even, granted I'm listing off some very extreme banking tracks, however, the difference is rather noticeable. Lindsay in the chat saying happy Monday to all of you watching at home and enjoying the action here today for our 6th race of the season here at North Wilkesboro. And it has been an absolutely incredible season thus far, having had a great battle in points that has really not started to shake off here for a number of positions. Really the only driver who has a noticeable lead would be Nick Beaver, holding on to the lead right now with 25 points ahead of Sean Williams. The next I guess you could say, big battle that we have here as we have the yellow flag flying. Too busy looking at numbers. Didn't see what happened on the racetrack. We'll take a look at the instant replay and see just exactly what unfolded here. We're watching along with Michael Ashmore, the number 98 machine. And into the rear end of Carlos Steele goes Nicholas Caressel. That's going to send him spinning on around, and Nicholas able to get away from it relatively unscathed. Really, all of these drivers didn't really suffer too much damage other than maybe a few fenders being bent here, but nonetheless, that is going to bring out the yellow flag. That will get drivers to rack them and stack them yet again and get ready for the next restart here. And at this point, after seeing this run that we've had here, honestly, just a small mistake being made there to bring out this caution. I think drivers have got it pretty well dialed in. It's just a matter of you get put into a situation where you only have fractions of a second to react. Things like that will happen. So can't always have a green flag race the entire time, especially on tracks like this. So mistakes will happen, things will happen. You gotta just keep your head up and keep on trucking on. Right now, lap 22 of 190. There is still a very long race to go, and at this point, I think it would be wise to just focus on the keeping your head down part and clicking off those laps, just getting as closer and closer to the end as you possibly can before you really start to crank up the dial and start to heat up things for yourself if you are able to do so. If you're still trailing behind another driver, if you're still trying to climb up positions, whatever the case might be, I would definitely say, you know, as much as drivers want to try and get it done early on and just hold on to that position throughout the race, I've definitely encountered drivers that are the opposite, that they would rather hold back a little bit, they would rather wait and save their energy, save their tires, save their fuel for the end when they know that their opponents are going to be at their weakest. Safety cars back down into pit road. The green flag drops here yet again, and Howie Briss right onto the loud pedal. Back to the green flag action that we have been waiting to get back to. Jaden Hobb trying everything he can to stick with the race leader, and Matthew Fitz as well. Number 37, or excuse me, the number 69 driver looking to try and keep himself in contention with the leader, and we've got a 2 wide, 3 deep pack developing right here in the midfield. Looking at Nick Beaver, the number 10 machine, currently holding on to 11th as these drivers all try and just hold their lines and stay clean and consistent, not make too many big mistakes here. Charles Jurek right on the outside with Sean Williams right on his tail. Not a whole lot of room for error. These drivers going to have to be very cautious. Jurek going to get right up behind Max Neuwirth. A very, very, very close move from Jurek, but just enough room to make it happen. Sean Williams now going to be alongside the 22 of James Coulibaly, heading through 1 and 2. Patrick Colby looking to sneak his way right in between the middle of these two if he so can. But taking that middle to outside groove, not quite going to give you all the pace that you want, but still enough to keep yourself in the action here. A little bit of a hiccup here from Coulibaly, goes a little wide through 3 and 4, or excuse me, through 1 and 2. Almost pushes, I think that was Beaver that he almost pushed up off the track there. Oh, a little bit of a snap here from the number 9 of Colby. That's going to allow Coulibaly to move on up into that 10th place position. Patrick's not going to make that one easy. The 22 gets sideways, and it is trouble on the back straightaway. Oh, man, it was like watching everything. It was like watching it in slow motion. That was... And James Coulibaly, the only driver being shown in timing and scoring to be affected by this. There goes Michael Keithley right into the grass. Nicholas Caressel gets involved into it, into the wall. James Coulibaly getting spun around. Oh, very tough incident here. So some drivers going to make their way down into pit road. They're going to grab that fresh set of tires as well as fuel. At this point in the race, it might be just a titch early, but with 3 tires behind the wall, or 3 sets of tires, I should say, behind the wall, it's definitely not unorthodox to want to grab those tires, grab that fuel, and just kind of restart your run, if you will. Plus, you would only have to, well, I'm trying to think of what a full stint would be like here. With 70% fuel, it would be somewhere in the neighborhood, I want to say 70 to 80 laps. Somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm probably wrong, but not too far off. And Gecko in the chat saying he knew he was supposed to be doing something. Well, unfortunately, Gecko, it looks like you'll be taking the bye week or the drop week here today, but that's all right. Lights are off on the pace car as we get ready to go back to green flag action, heading into turns 3 and 4. Howie Briss and Jaden Hopp still remaining up on the front row. Nicholas Lovell, Matthew Fitz in your second row. Max Newirth, Dylan Meyer in your third row. The green flag drops, and we go back to green flag racing here at North Wilkesboro. Race number 6 of the 2023 Team Goon Squad Cup Series. Lap 34 of 190. It has been action-packed here all night long, but definitely has not been an easy night for drivers, to say the least. And Howie Briss getting a very, very good lead so far, and it is looking dicey here in the midfield. Let's ride back on board here with Nick Beaver, the number 10 machine, also the leader in the point standings, and right now sitting in 12th place. He is going to be hoping for a miracle here today to try and mitigate any points lost that he might see here today, folks, and it is going to be a very, very tough race to make anything like that happen here today with how clean drivers have been going. So for granted, the incidents that we have seen, they haven't been as severe as one might assume. Definitely have not been any sort of car breaking wrecks here today. It's mostly just been people getting spun out side by side and literally touching doors here between Aaron Smith and Dylan Meyer. It's just great to see how close these guys are willing to push with one another. And honestly, even more surprising is the fact that iRacing managed to let that happen without wrecking the drivers out. That's just, honestly, love to see it. Howie Briss still your race leader. Matthew Fitz manages to move up into that second place position as he moves around Jaden Hopp. Jaden now going to fall into third and going to be fending off Nicholas Lovell, who right now looks to be on quite a good line and has quite a bit of pace here in that number 37. But Paul Mikolajczyk down on the inside of Nicholas Lovell here at this moment. I think both of these drivers have very good chances at moving their way up into the top 3 as Paul Mikolajczyk, there it is, moves up into 4th place, keeping it consistent and steady here at North Wilkesboro. And I think consistency is a huge, huge factor to anyone's success here at this racetrack. It's not a forgiving racetrack, and you have to be consistent. You have to be smooth. The longer the race goes on, the harder it becomes to keep these cars down underneath you. Charles Jurek trying to get away from this pack of drivers that have really been stuck with one another for quite some time. And really, I'm surprised to see that these packs have really not deteriorated in any well, major way. We're still seeing a little bit of separation now that drivers are, well, a few of them having gone down into pit road, possibly to get some damage serviced, whatever the case might be, tires, fuel, a few different reasons that we might see those some of these drivers that have come down into pit road. There isn't a way for me to show you, but I can list them off for you here in just a, well, short moment. Actually, I can do that. Aaron Smith, let's see, James Coulibaly, Nicholas Caressel, Scott Shire, Carlos Steele, Michael Ashmore, and Gareth McAllister. And Gareth, actually, it looks like Gareth has retired from the race. He has taken that 25 machine back behind pit wall and back into the trailer, and I think that's going to be it for the Aussie here today. Unfortunate to say the least. Really love seeing Gareth out here and racing here in the Cup Series, but I think Gareth probably just is not feeling this track here today. Probably is not going to be too happy with his performance if he decided to stay out here. This is a very, very tough track. Oh, and as we see it live, Aaron Smith riding the bumper of Max Neuwirth, and that is enough to get him sent sideways, up and around. Here it is, right into, oh man. We got to watch this one more time. We're going to watch it from Aaron Smith's perspective here. Oh, man. It's okay, hold on a second. That actually sounded like Max might have had an issue. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, I'm not sure if that was a... maybe he tried to get on the throttle right as Aaron... you know what, that's a lot of things happening right there in that moment, but ultimately Aaron Smith getting into the rear end of Max Neuwirth, the number 66 driver, and unfortunately for Max and a fair few other drivers, that will cause them to have to come down into pit road. Also the yellow flag to come out here. And you can see that damage to the number 66 machine. And we can probably see some other damage around the track here as well. Aaron Smith, the lean, mean yellow banana, does not appear to have too much, actually really any damage at all. Looks like he walked away from that one unscathed. And we'll see if any other drivers have any major boo-boos, but so far it looks to be relatively a-okay. Dylan Myers looking not too shabby. So everyone's looking a-okay. No one's looking like they are missing any body pieces or tires or anything of that nature. So even with all the calamity, even with the few incidents that we've had here tonight already, things are still running smooth. Things are still going well. Let's see if the drivers are able to keep that up here, keep that consistency up through the night. As we are quickly approaching that halfway mark in today's race. Still a little ways to go. But with drivers clicking off laps of about, we'll call it about 19 seconds. On average, you can see anywhere about 3 laps to be clicked off per minute, so you can do the math. Pace cars back down into pit row. The green flag drops here yet again. It is Patrick Colby and Michael Keithley up at the front after some pit stops being made here from a good chunk of our field. We've got some new leaders who are going to be on the oldest sets of tires. Both Patrick Colby and Michael Keithley going to be fending off both Howie Briss and friends, as everyone else is going to be on those brand new sets of tires. But Colby is definitely not looking to make this an easy pass here for Howie Briss, or really for anyone else for that matter. Showing very good lines here, very good consistency and speed here out of the number 9 Miller Lite machine. The yellow flag is back out here as we've got an incident a little bit further back behind the field, or behind the drivers up here in the front row. Let's take a look. Sean Williams is the driver, and Max Neuwirth, I believe. There it is. Neuwirth into the rear end of Sean Williams, and Neuwirth bringing that car to a complete dead stop. Out of respect, I would say that he definitely felt his heart sink to his stomach after that one. I would have to say, especially in this series, I am fairly confident in saying that pretty much every single one of these drivers is in no way, shape, or form ever looking to intentionally wreck someone out. Occasionally, there are times where drivers drivers will be drivers. It seems like out of all of sports, motorsports is the one where the hotheads seem to go, and sometimes that does tend to spill over into the sim racing world as well. But at the end of the day, it's all just for fun, and you can't take things too seriously. So, with that being said, everyone here doing a phenomenal job of keeping things fun and enjoyable for everyone, and making little moves like that from Max Neuwirth here, realizing that he made the mistake, owning up to it, and letting his opponent on by before continuing on. Just a sportsman-like thing to do, and I love to see that kind of sportsmanship out there on the track and with the drivers here in this series. Always love to see it. It always warms my heart. So, with that being said, Patrick Colby and Howie Briss are now going to be the drivers up on the front row, and more curiously enough is the fact that Patrick Colby has yet to come down into pit road for any reason. He's not come down for tires, fuel, anything of the like. The number 9 Miller Lite machine going to try and get a full run here before he decides to make that decision to come down and get a fresh set of good years. I think right now he's got the visions of grandeur in his helmet right now. Up 16 spots, sitting in the very tippy top. Pace car comes down into pit road. The green flag drops here yet again, and in Colby to be off to a good start here, but let's see what Howie Briss does on the outside through 1 and 2, and I don't think Patrick had any doubt in his mind that there was going to be passing happening. It was just a matter of when and where, and I think Howie Briss, oh boy, already. Yellow flag back out here. Sean Williams, a big punt to the back of Charles Jurek, and I am more than certain that Sean Williams is probably in his mic right now just blurting out apologies. Take a look at this. Just full speed ahead, and really, I don't think Sean realized just how fast he was actually going until the last second, and by that time it was already too late. Thomas Sewell, it's great to have you in the chat. It's unfortunate that I don't get to see you out there on the track yet, but I do hope to get to see you out here at least once in the future. But either way, Thomas, it's good to have you out here in the chat joining us, and everyone who's watching right now, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching the series and being a part of it and enjoying the broadcast. Hopefully you are. If you are enjoying the broadcast, let us know. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you'd like. Catch all the action that we have here throughout the week here on the Team Goon Squad channel as we try and cover as much as we can and make things as enjoyable as possible and try and make the action as fun as we can here. And Sean Williams coming in the chat here. He's came up to the race control booth and owned up to it. Sean, I appreciate you making that call and just parking it for the night. You know what? It's North Wilkesboro. I expected cautions going into this race. It is not something that I think wouldn't happen, but it's racing, man. This is definitely a tough track, and with how many drivers we have here, and with how finicky these cars can be on this particular, well, really on any short track, it's, you know what, things will happen. It will definitely happen. But that was a big oopsie daisy. But I appreciate you, Sean, for taking initiative and just making that call and not putting anyone else Or making the... Never mind. Anyway, back to green flag racing here. Howie Briss, Paul Mikolajczyk, back to the action. And let's see what the midfield is going to do here this time, as it seems like the past few times that we've been focused on our race leaders is when things start to get dicey here in the back of the pack. So let's see if by keeping the cameras fixated on them, that will keep these drivers in line here. Oh, Keithley getting mighty close to the rear end of James Coulibaly, excuse me. No, that was Patrick Colby. Wow, I got my names mixed up there. And hit, oh no, Coulibaly, speaking of the devil, gets spun around, and it looks like Michael Ashmore also involved in this one. Let's take a look, see how this one transpired. Oh, gets into the, oh man. Gets into the grass just enough to get slowed down, and that, unfortunately, drivers behind him not realizing that he has to slow down to avoid losing further control of the vehicle, and around she goes. Seventh caution of the race. Probably the race with the most caution so far this season. But it is also one that I expected to see this many, or at least a good fair chunk of yellow flags here. But as we are just about to the halfway mark, well, we're still a little ways away before we get there. But with how things are looking right now, I would have to say there is... Oh man, it's gonna be a tough call to make here, as far as how these guys are going to kind of handle this final half of the race here. If they're what their game plan is going to be here. I mean, we're going to take a single file restart for this race. Or for this restart, excuse me, in order to try and get things cleaned up here just a little bit, see if that'll help drivers get a better run. Not that we haven't had good runs before, and frankly, we've had fairly decent starts off the line here. Paul is going a little off. He's just taking the scenic route. So with that being said, it's more or less coming down to we're approaching that halfway mark, and drivers, you know, you really don't want to be ending a race where you're stopping and starting, constantly restarting, especially at the very end. You want to get it done. You want to finish the race out. You want to get it done and over with. But you don't want to do it in a situation where it's kind of like a sprint race almost, where you only have 10 or 15 laps or even less to work with because of cautions. It's just not an ideal situation. It's not a situation you want to have to deal with. But as we come down the back straightaway, lights are off on the pace car, and we will go back to green flag right after we come through 3 and 4. The pace car will make its drop down into pit road. There it is, and away we go, and Howie Briss to the outside. And I was wrong about the single file restart. It will not be a single file restart, obviously, as we can see. That door-to-door action that has been producing a lot of the calamity here tonight. This is where it has been sprouting from, as Carlos Steele gets mighty sideways. Able to save it and recover it, keep it going. But almost a very, very close yellow flag opportunity there from Thiel. managing to avoid that as much as humanly possible. As we try and keep up with the action happening around the field, it looks like a lot of these drivers are trying to get themselves into a little bit more of a single file groove here, not necessarily trying to stay door to door with one another like we've traditionally been seeing here for quite some time. Obviously, we're still going to see it every now and then, but it definitely does look like and feel like drivers have given themselves more room this time around than what we've seen here in the past. Vernon Markheim, also another driver to find himself back in the pits, taking that 33 machine into the trailer and calling it a day here at North Wilkesboro. Unfortunate to say, but 3 drivers have taken themselves out of the race here so far. Again, unfortunate to say the least, but hopefully we'll see them back next week for some more great racing, as there is still plenty of races left in the season. And as my hunch suspected, and right as I say that, Carlos Thiel, the 256 machine, he has been looking rather dicey here, but also has been a victim of that right there. Excuse me. He's been a victim of that same exact maneuver right there. Max Newworth just getting a touch too close, and you could even see it from the rear as well, from him. The brakes locking up, trying to slow himself down after he realized what was happening. But drivers really pushing things today, trying to get every inch that they can, and ultimately it's just coming down to reaction times and ultimately just not having a whole lot of time to work with through these turns and how fast you're taking them. It's just a lot of things happening in a very short amount of time, and unfortunately, even if you did even if you were able to react in time, you most likely wouldn't be able to avoid it in time. So, as Thomas Sewell in chat mentioned, excuse me, as Thomas Sewell mentioned in chat, this track is notorious for yellow flags here in the iRacing service. I'm not sure what it is about it, but it is just something about this track that really challenges a lot of sim racers, even real life drivers. It can definitely be a nasty one if you're not careful. Coming down the back straightaway, lights are off on the pace car. We get ready to go back to green as we come through 3 and 4. Paul Mikolajczyk and Howie Briss at the front row, with Jaden Hopp and Nicholas Lovell in your second row. Aaron Smith and Matthew Fitz in the third row. The green flag drops in the 97 Mobil 1 machine, taking no time at all. Back out into the front, and with a sizable gap between himself and Paul Mikolajczyk. We'll see if he can continue to bring that up further if he possibly can. Jurek right on the bottom of James Coulibaly here, also trailing behind him. Carlos Steele, Scott Shire, Max Newworth, Nick Beaver. And you'll remember as well, Nick Beaver fighting for those championship points, currently leading the championship by 25 points. Sean Williams in that second place spot and Jaden Hopp in third. And with Jaden Hopp sitting in that third place position now, as Charles Jurek out of 2 on the back straight, manages to avoid damaging that car any further, but it is definitely going to cost him a significant amount of time to catch back up to the rest of the pack. But very lucky, very good work from Charles Jurek getting that. Matthew Fitz also going to try and get a save in here. And I'm going to take this moment to shout out our setup builder, Ashley Lyle, for giving us a spicy setup here today for this race. It has been entertaining, to say the least. Oh, into the side, and it is going to be a rough day here for James Coulibaly as he gets pinballed, I should say, right between two cars, and I don't think that could have happened any worse for him here. Let's take a look at this. So here, heading into turn 1, he's got Dylan Meyer just up ahead of him. Overdrives it into 1, gets into the side of Matthew Fitz, and here comes Max Newworth on the bottom, and that's going to push him, boop, right back up. Newworth's going to go for a little bit of a ride through the grass. Beaver's going to follow him on through. And Coulibaly, unfortunately, finds himself up into the wall. But the yellow flag will come out. Coulibaly's going to take this opportunity to come down into pit road. And this will be our, I believe, our ninth yellow flag of the race here today. Excuse me. So with Howie Briss, Paul Mikolajczyk up in the front row, Aaron Smith, Nicholas Lovell taking up our second row here today, Patrick Colby, Michael Keithley in our third row. Ninth caution of the race here today, and Howie Briss has been on fire here tonight. Really has not been put down from that first place spot at all throughout this race here, other than coming down into pit road on lap 48. That was the only time that he dropped down from the lead, and that was only momentarily after taking the lead back from Patrick Colby, who had decided to stay out on the oldest set of tires as well as the least amount of fuel among the field. Didn't quite work out for Patrick Colby, but he's still here in that fifth place spot, so he's still up there, still running in contention for those top 5, top 3 spots if he can keep that consistency up, which, like I mentioned earlier, consistency is going to be your biggest friend here at North Wilkesboro. Any sort of mistakes are going to cost you dearly, as we've already seen that countless times here already. Drivers who were doing phenomenally well, finding themselves in just a little bit of a pickle drops him down to the back of the field, but we go back to green flag racing here. The green flag drops. Howie Briss back out to the front in a very good lead to start off with. Coming out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. Paul Mikolajczyk, Nicholas Lovell going to line themselves back up single file. Meanwhile, the midfield, that is where the action has been all race long. Drivers going too wide, door to door here in some situations. We're locked on here with Charles Jurek, the number 76 Battle Bit machine, to the outside onto the back straightaway. Sticking with Dylan Meyer, the number 21 goes to the outside, looking through 3 and 4 here, but Jaden Hopp right on the heels. You've also got Max Neuwirth and Nick Beaver, points leader, trying to climb up positions as best as he can, even into the top 10 if he can do so. And Lindsay asking if Jaden Hopp ended up pitting. He did. Lap 89, he did come down into pit road, the number 81 machine. Dropping down a few positions here, but I think wanting to get that pit stop in and out of the way here. A little squirrely for just a moment, but keeping things clean. Single file action here in the midfield. I think this is probably the first time that we've seen this all race long. Nick Beaver going to look to the inside of the number 81. Tries to get a position into the top 10 here. Nick Beaver trying to climb back up. Secure as many points as he possibly can. Now he's going to be right on the tail, hopefully, of Charles Jurek here as we go through 3 and 4. Might even be Dylan Meyer. The 21 Blue Chew machine trying to keep up the pace, holding on to that 8th place position. Up ahead, up here in the top 3, it's Aaron Smith holding on to a 3rd place spot, with Nicholas Lovell on the chase here, trying to see if he can put the pressure on Aaron. But as we all know, as everyone who's been around this series, has been around the Velocity Racing League series long enough, and has seen the Lean Mean Yellow Banana, that is not going to be an easy feat. But if you can pull it off, I will personally give you $1. Moving on, though, lap 101 of 190 here. We have surpassed the halfway mark, and we are getting down into the nitty-gritty. And so far, this run is looking to be the best run that these drivers have had all the race long so far. Giving themselves plenty of room to work with, not challenging too aggressively here. And not that drivers were too aggressive before, but things can happen. Aaron Smith, I'm not sure what just happened here, but Aaron Smith going way to the top of the track, dropping all the way down to 13th. What in the world just happened here? We gotta rewind the tape here just real quickly. Oh, he overdrove it into 3 and 4. And again, folks, this is something that is, I would say, extremely easy to do on a track like this. I mean, you are trying everything you can to push into these turns. You're trying to carry as much momentum, as much speed as you can, and it's more often than not that your brakes just, oh, they are not enough. And there goes Matthew Fitz and Patrick Colby. A little bit of a pile up right on the top of 1 and 2, and James Coulibaly and Michael Ashmore also going to join in on some of the fun here as the pace car makes its way back out. And we take our 10th yellow flag of the race here. Folks, this is exactly the sort of thing that, you know, I was talking a little bit about earlier. Drivers really don't want to have to, they don't want to have to go with, you know, a caution fest, especially towards the end of the race. This, granted, that's usually when those caution fests start to happen, is at the very end, the very last 20, 30 laps, when it's all or nothing at that point. Tensions are high. That's when you really start to see those cautions come out. But you will also tend to see that even in the middle of the race, where drivers are purely just, they're in it. They are pushing as much as they can. They're giving it 110%. And sometimes that is just going to lead to some very interesting and some very exciting situations that I think ultimately will just heat up the battles here going into the final half of this race. Drivers coming down through pit road, grabbing tires, grabbing fuel. I can't even keep up of who's done what as far as pit stops are concerned. It is all over the board right now. I mean, we've had drivers that have come down into pit road 8 times, and we've also had drivers that have only come down into pit road 1 time. So, like I said, it's all over the board right now. You really can't even assume a driver's pit stop strategy right now because of the fact that everyone has kind of done their own thing. Everyone's kind of just a little this, a little that, come in here, come in there, whenever. I think everyone's crew chief right now is mostly just send it, pretty much is going to be the general consensus, I would have to imagine. But as we have 80 laps left to go, this is when really dialing in your line, trying to make sure that you are not overdriving your car too much like we've already seen here. Drivers really trying to push, particularly into 3 and 4, where we are seeing those cars go way wide to the top of the track and having to slow themselves down. Aaron Smith being the most recent driver to have experienced that here, and I'm sure there's been more that we haven't seen on camera, but either way, either how, that just goes to show how aggressive some of these drivers are here tonight, trying to push that pace. And frankly, got to give credit to Ashley once again for the setup and for how this setup is seemingly working for a lot of these drivers. It seems to be that it's a little touchy, but it's also the track as well. You can't blame it all on the setup. But I would say that for the race and for what we've seen here so far tonight, it has definitely made for some exciting racing. And what's even more exciting is that Dylan Meyer, Scott Shire, and right off the rip, Howie Brisket sent turned around, and he is parked right next to Nicholas Lovell. Not how you want to have a restart go. Not at all. Let's take a look at the instant replay here and see just how this one unfolded here. Green flag drops in. Oh man, you can't even. It's like either Howie was a little late on the throttle. I think actually Nicholas Lovell might have been a little early there, because by the time that Howie started to get on the throttle, his rear end was already in the air. I think that might have been a little bit of a timing issue. And unfortunately, that's going to put Howie Briss back into that 13th place position. And it is going to be a fight and a half to get back up to the front. For Scott Shire and Dylan Meyer, this is going to mean another chance to restart up at the front here. And both of these drivers, well, actually, let me take that back. I got to take a step back here. Dylan Meyer, coming in on lap 49, well, right as I say that, on cue, comes down into pit road. He's going to grab a fresh set of tires, so that's now going to put Nick Beaver back at the front of the pack. You know, folks, sometimes patience is key. Patience is a virtue, all of the things, and I think Nick Beaver has just exemplified that here. Maybe even just a stroke of luck here for Beaver, but I mean, again, he was down way deep in 13th, 14th, and having to fight his way back up here as best as he could, but now has an opportunity to start on the front row and be able to potentially come away with a top 3 finish, or maybe even a win. But it is still 75 laps until the end of the race here. A lot can happen still in that short period of time. And for Nick Beaver, I mean, it has been a struggle for a lot of drivers here tonight, but for Nick Beaver, it hasn't quite been his strongest performance, I would say, so far yet this season. But I will take that back for the time being and wait until the end to see just exactly what Beaver is going to try and accomplish here. As we're gonna come across the line, I think the lights will go off on the iRacing pace car, and we should be back to green next time by. There it is. Back to green flag, and Nick Beaver, Scott Shire, door to door. Beaver going to be down on the inside through 1 and 2. Shire's going to try and keep that momentum up in the 4 Fox machine, but Beaver showing some good line work here. And I know that Beaver does very, very well, even under pressure, so we will see if he's going to be able to keep it up here for the next 70-plus laps. As Paul Mikolajczyk trying to get a good run to the tail end of Beaver. We also see Michael Keithley back here in the number 53 Burger King machine, and it's getting dicey up towards the high line here as we see Howie Briss. He is really pushing the 97 Mobil 1 machine door to door from Carlos Steele, as well as Michael Keithley. It's been all race long, and it has been nothing but action here from the midfield. Carlos Steele gets a tap from the rear end from Matthew Fitz, able to keep that one from getting any uglier. Paul Mikolajczyk, Scott Shire, they continue to duke it out side by side down the front straight, the back straight, excuse me, into 3 and 4. Jaden Hopp also looking to try and get in on some of the action here as well. After last week's race at Watkins Glen, Jaden Hopp able to move his way up into 3rd for the overall point standings. And if he can come away with this top 5, even a top 3, that will solidify that spot even further, potentially even moving himself up ahead of Sean Williams, who sits in that 2nd place position. Sean Williams, unfortunately, dropping out of the race earlier on today after being involved in a couple different incidents, but the final one being the one that put the final nail in the coffin, so to speak. The coffin being the end of his race here today. So, unfortunately for Sean Williams, he will finish in 19th place here. I think that will actually be where he finishes tonight. So, he will still get some points, but it won't be anywhere near what he could have had here today. But again, it has been a grueling race for some drivers as Mikolajczyk and Beaver side by side. The number 7 machine looking down low through 3 and 4. He's got the pace to pull it off. And up ahead into the lead, it's Paul Mikolajczyk. Now going through 1 and 2, the number 10 Fastenal machine going to have to try and keep himself on the tail as close as he can down the back straightaway. Paul Mikolajczyk, according to timing and scoring, he's got the pace difference to be able to even increase this gap. And we will see if Paul is going to do just that here. Meanwhile, back in 6th place, Howie Briss continuing to try and claw his way back up to the front of the pack. Currently behind Michael Keithley, that number 53 machine, the Office Depot Mobil 197 machine. Trying to look down to the inside here. Not quite the pace that he needs, heading through 1 and 2. As they come out onto the back straight, almost able to get up alongside the door of Michael, and able to do so here through 3 and 4. So Howie Briss now looking at an opportunity to... Oh, a little bit of door banging happening between Keithley and Briss. Briss able to get out ahead of Michael on the back straightaway. Now going to be chasing down the number 81 machine of Jaden Hopp here. And Jaden as well, also another driver who has been looking to try and claw their way back up to the front. after Jaden was in that second place position, going to be looking to try and get back up to that spot as quickly as he so can. "60 laps left to go here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. A lot of great action has happened here tonight, but at this point in the race, I think a lot of drivers have they've dialed back the things a little bit just to get this green flag running, as well as ensure that they are not having to restart from the tail end of the field. Like I said, any small mistake is going to cost you greatly, and if it doesn't, you should be counting all of your lucky stars and thanking the racing gods for looking out for you, because somewhere like a track like this, making a mistake and then still quote-unquote surviving it by retaining your position or not losing a position, I think is a miracle in of itself. Howie Briss looking down to the inside of Scott Shire, the 4 Fox machine, on the front straightaway and across the checkered line. It's Briss back up into the top 3. Jaden Hopp falling back into 7th, and it is calamity as Shire, Keithley, as well as Dylan Meyer. Oh, no, that wasn't Dylan Meyer. Who was that? That was... Is that Koulibaly? No, it wasn't Koulibaly. Who was that? Well, that was enough to bring out the yellow flag, and unfortunately, I do have to point out here as well that Aaron Smith has actually also found himself out of the race, putting that 70 machine back into the trailer and calling it a night here. Unfortunate to say the least, but I think a lot of these drivers who have experienced issues throughout this race here, being involved in various incidents, I think it's... I don't blame them, I think is the best way to put it here. Lindsay, just read your comment. Maybe we should be counting how many laps stay green instead of cautions, and you know, I kind of like that optimistic view. We can do that, and I wish actually there was a way I could show that to you folks on screen, because I actually can't keep track of that myself. However, yes, that is a much better way to view it rather than how many cautions we've had here. But like I mentioned in the beginning of the broadcast and a fair few times throughout the broadcast, is that it was expected, at least on my behalf, and I'm sure the drivers expected it as well. Maybe not double-digit cautions, but again, it's North Wilkesboro, it's tough racing, and at this point, I think a lot of drivers are just going to be looking at just finishing this one out, just getting things said and done and dusted. So as Paul Mikolajczyk takes the lead, he currently sits 10th in the point standings, and right now, he's 108 points behind Nick Beaver, but only 4 points behind Aaron Smith. And now Aaron Smith has already found himself out of the race here. He is going to be... Oh boy, math is hard. Going to be about 45-ish points away from Nicholas Caressel in 8th place. Oh, no, that was way wrong. Never mind. We're back to green flag racing here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Race number 6 of the Team Goon Squad Cup Series. Paul Mikolajczyk up in the lead, as drivers here in the mid-pack and as well in the top 3 trying to scramble for positions. Jaden Hopp, one of them. Nick Beaver as well, also looking to get... this is going to be an exciting finish here, folks. I mean, we've got Nick Beaver, points leader, trying to secure those points, trying to keep himself in that lead. Paul Mikolajczyk has yet to win a race here this season, as well as I think maybe this would be his... This will definitely be his first win. I'm not sure about first top 3, but if he can keep this pace up here and pull off a win, this will be an absolutely incredible day here for Paul Mikolajczyk. Howie Briss looking to secure some points here as well, and Howie also has yet to win a race here this season, believe it or not. But also, for those of you who have been around for the Velocity Racing League coverage in the past, Howie Briss was never known for winning a bunch of races. He was always, at least to me, he was always Mr. Consistency. That was always Howie Briss. He was never too concerned about coming away with wins every single race. It was always just about coming away with those top 3s, top 5s, top 10s. And I think right now he is focused on purely doing that, as he's in a heated battle with Nick Beaver for that 3rd place spot right now. The number 10 Fast and All machine down to the very bottom of the racetrack. Going to be trying and looking for an opportunity, a door to open around Jaden Hopp. And I think Nick Beaver definitely has the pace to be able to pull this one off here. Jaden trying to give everything that he can in that number 81 machine. But here it is, Beaver right up to the tail of Paul Mikolajczyk and up into 2nd place. And Paul now going to be in trouble here, as he's going to have to fend off a very, very fast driver in the form of Nicholas Beaver. As we approach 40 laps left to go, this, again, drivers who are looking to secure those points or positions are slowly but surely heating things up as we get closer and closer to this end. Michael Keithley fending off Nicholas Caressel as well as Dylan Meyer, the number 21 machine. Caressel goes to the inside through 3 and 4. And a good 5th place spot here taken by Nicholas Caressel. Drops down to the bottom through 1 and 2, almost making contact. He does so with Michael Keithley. Keithley goes around onto the back straightaway. And Keithley, like butter, takes that number 5 spot. And it is definitely exciting watching these drivers just swap positions left and right. Dylan Meyer looking for another opportunity at a top 5 here as well. Staying to the bottom of the track here with Nicholas Caressel to the outside. Just trying to stay consistent here, not being too aggressive. Because if you overdrive it into any of these turns with another driver on your outside like Dylan has right now, it's going to end in disaster. We've seen it already a few times this race, and I don't think Dylan wants to repeat that mistake. As Keithley goes way high there. Almost looked like he was starting to lose the rear end there for a moment, but keeping it together. Patrick Colby, the number 9 Miller Lite machine, looks down to the bottom, and he gets a spot into 6th place now. Just out ahead of Nicholas Caressel and barely just out ahead of Michael Keithley. Keithley gets a little squirrely coming out of 4. Scott Shire, the number 4 Fox machine, sees the window of opportunity, and he is going to go for it as best as he can here, staying right along the rear, the 45 Sour Patch Kids machine. And also, shout out to Nick, too, who's kind of been shuffling around the Sour Patch Kids paint schemes. One week it was watermelon flavored, which, by the way, is the best flavor. And then it was this one, and he also has the all green one, and he's got a bunch of different ones. I love it. I love the musical paint schemes here with the 45 machine. Yeah, Lindsay, I mean, Howie is a phenomenal driver and a phenomenal athlete, you know. Just overall in general, he has done a very, very good job in both here in the Team Goon Squad Cup Series as well in the Velocity Racing League Series. Just on and off the track, always just level-headed and never really shows too much frustration or anything like that. He's always just a level-headed guy and always very, very nice to talk to, and always a pleasure to have the opportunity to get to chat to when he's up in the booth. Just like many other drivers here in this series, for those drivers who I've managed to get to do a post-race interview with, it's always great to get to talk with talk with our drivers and to give them a chance to talk about their race and what they like and how they've been doing throughout the season and so on and so forth. It's always great to see all of our drivers get a chance to get up there on that podium and get a little bit of extra TV time. But with now 30 laps left to go, Nick Beaver, he has driven away with this lead. Almost 4 seconds between himself and Paul Mikolajczyk, who's now trying to fend off Jaden Hopp here. Beaver is in his own area code. He's not even worried about the drivers behind him at this point. I think the only thing that Beaver has got to focus on, and really his only objective is to focus on, is just consistency. Again, I've said it multiple times throughout this broadcast, but that's really what's going to help him now that he's been just really blessed with this opportunity to be in the lead, as we see Max Newworth getting a little dancing on ice there, coming out of coming out of 2. But we've seen that all season long with Nick Beaver, where he just, once he gets dialed in, I mean, it's all the number 10 machine from there. It's incredible seeing just how well Nick Beaver is behind the wheel of these Gen 4 Cup cars. .25 laps left to go. The ticker on the left-hand side of our screens. It is all or nothing now. Any mistake that is made now is going to be impossible to recover from at this point. Anything major, I should add. If we see that you know what come back out, it's not going to be good news for any drivers that were hoping for either a clean start or a clean finish all the way to the end. But it also might be another chance for some drivers to get one more stab at whatever position that they are trying to accomplish right now. And I think, really, realistically speaking here, I think the only driver that might be hoping for something like that may be Howie Briss. I think Howie might be the only driver, again, maybe, probably not, but Howie, I think, would definitely appreciate a late stage you-know-what to give him another chance to get back up there, to get fighting again for the top 3, top 5. as we see Jaden Hopp. He is on a mission to get up into that second place spot around Paul Mikolajczyk. Mikolajczyk to the bottom through 3 and 4. The 81 machine going high as they come out of 4 onto the front straightaway and across the checkered line. It's Hopp going to have the momentum. Will he be able to keep it up through 1 and 2 onto the back straight? He does so, and that will be a second place move for Jaden Hopp. Very clean and very smooth work here from Jaden. Always love watching Jaden behind the wheel. And frankly, a lot of these drivers, they all just make it look too easy. And just to give you an idea of just how easy I mean, let's ride on board here. We haven't done this in a little while. Let's just go on board here with Nicholas Caressel, the number 45 machine, and oh, wow. Right on cue. Right as I'm about to show it, Nicholas Lovell goes for a little bit of a ride here. Let's see what happens for the 37. I almost have a feeling, what in the world? What in the world? Oh, Nicholas. 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 Okay, we gotta back this up here. Hold on a second. Oh boy. Oh. Oh, he was definitely feeling it there. I mean, I'm sure he was probably feeling really good on exit, and the rear end just obviously was not agreeing with him. As soon as he started to put any sort of throttle down, that rear end just said, see you later. He tried everything he could to save it, but unfortunately, that's going to bring out the caution, and man, Lovell's just, I know he's not happy with himself right now. I can say that without a doubt. And Lindsay, yeah, you're 100% right. That back end went on vacation, and then some. Yeah, Thomas, these cars have a lot of horsepower. I'm trying to remember exactly how much it is. It's like 500 or 600? Is this 650? I feel like 650 is the... Yeah, 650 approximately. So, for those of you that don't know, for those of you that are watching this and are thinking 650 horsepower, yeah, that seems like a lot, but most people, if you've never been interested in race cars or really any fast things, take for example your car that you drive every day. Most of those usually go anywhere between, I mean, about 200 is looking on the high side, I guess, for most consumer vehicles, maybe 250. Generally speaking, though, you're not going to see anything over about 350 unless you're getting something that's, you know, a little bit more souped up than your average minivan. So, double that and you have a race car. Now, that's not the fastest that we've seen race cars go. There are, you know, top fuel cars that go well past that, 2,000, 3,000 horsepower, something along those lines. It's ridiculous. But there's a lot of power underneath these drivers' feet, and to keep it all in control, to keep it all together, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of control and finesse work in order to make that all happen and come together into one cohesive race as we go back to green flag. Jaden Hopp to the outside of Patrick Colby, who Colby's going to get another opportunity to start up at the front, and with 12 laps left to go, it is going to be an exciting finish here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. 3 wide coming across the line as we come through 1 and 2. Colby squeezed right between the middle of Nick Beaver. Carlos Thiel, it's only getting dicier here as drivers scrambling to try and get back up to the front of the pack. Jaden Hopp, your race leader. Beaver, Thiel, Mikolajczyk, they are all side by side. Dylan Meyer, Patrick Colby, door to door here as well, and Mikolajczyk gets tapped, and it is trouble out of two. Multiple drivers getting involved here. Howie Briss, Carlos Thiel, Michael Ashmore, the list just goes on. 9 laps left to go as the yellow flag comes out here yet again. Just look at how tight this pack was. I mean, it is just a recipe for disaster. I mean, it was... A top fuel is estimated at 11,000 horse. Holy crap, I was way off. I knew it was a lot, but I didn't think it was that much. Holy. I was correct in 1970 in HRA. Well, I'll take that, I guess. Well, folks, the 14th caution of the race here, and only once we get back to green flag, I think it's only going to be about 5 laps left to go. So realistically, this is it, folks. This is what it comes down to, and I don't even know what to expect. I mean, we've got Jaden Hopp, Nick Beaver, Dylan Meyer, Patrick Colby, Nicholas Caressel, Michael Keithley. It's unfortunate to say that, you know, we've seen Howie Briss fall off of this kind of battle up here in the front as well, because realistically, I mean, this has been an exciting race, and it is just it is only getting more intense as we get closer to this checkered flag. All right, heading through 3 and 4, the pace car getting ready to make its dive down to pit road. The flag man has the flag in hand, and down it goes for what will be hopefully the final time here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. 4 laps left to go, and Jaden Hopp taking absolutely no time at all to try and get away from this field. Look at this, 4 wide. And a voice crack to head it all with it, and it is calamity. I don't know how else. Wow, we are definitely going back and watching this one. Look at this. Look at this. Will you just look at it? This is just absolutely incredible. We got to go back and watch this just one more time, because out of turn 2, Paul Mikolajczyk, Caressel, Max Newer, Charles Jurek, all 4 wide heading through 3 and 4. And they weren't even the ones to cause the wreck here. It looks like Matthew Fitz and a couple other drivers involved that got into it ahead of them. But man, oh man, that is going to be the first of 3 green-white checkered attempts that we will have here at North Wilkesboro. Thomas Sewell giving Jaden the big ups here, saying Jaden is a closer. He's the Kevin Harvick of VRL and TGS. If he has the lead towards the end, he's tough to beat. And I you know what? I completely agree with that sentiment here, 100%. Jaden Hopp, I mean, he is a dominating force. He's a force to be reckoned with once he's out there in his element, in his groove and feeling comfortable and consistent. I mean, he is a tough guy to beat. Even getting alongside him would probably feel like an accomplishment to some drivers. And I think right now, the only driver that Jaden really has to keep an eye out for is this guy right here, Nick Beaver. Nick is also a very strong competitor, and I know that he has the wits to be able to pull something off here. So, I mean, this you can almost kind of think of this as the battle of the Titans. You know, Nick Beaver, Jaden Hopp, both the kind of the heavy hitters in this season so far, and I think these two are going to be an exciting combination to watch, not only here tonight, but throughout this season, and I really hope that we get to see more of these two in battles just like this as the season goes on, because, I mean, these guys just put on a show. Here it is, through 3 and 4, the pace car getting ready to make that drop down into pit road. Jaden Hopp, Nick Beaver, foot's on the gas, ready to go. Green flag drops, and here we go. Jaden Hopp, a very good launch here. Michael Keithley as well, getting a good jump here on Nick Beaver. The rest of the field trying to get some room between them. 2 laps left to go here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, and it is trouble here for Paul Mikolajczyk and Matthew Fitz. Big contact here between these drivers as the yellow flag comes out here yet again. Our second green-white checkered attempt of 3. This will be the last time, and oh no, we've got a little bit of retaliation happening here between these two. I think that is going to require a little bit of woo, that's gonna require some cool down time. But yeah, that's definitely a tough break. I can understand the frustration in that situation, but for Paul Mikolajczyk and for Matthew Fitz, it's gonna be a very, very tough break here in this final hopefully final attempt here at a green-white checkered. Yeah, I can't speak enough for Beaver. It's been ever since getting to meet Beaver for the first time with the folks over at Just Two Idiots Cup Series, and seeing all the talent that they have there, and getting a chance to have Beaver and I think Lamp as well also came over for a couple races. A few drivers over there have come over to participate in this series, but Beaver has been the one to stick with it and has really shown some great talent and has brought some great talent into the series. Really just kind of makes things very competitive and very fun for the entire series. All right, here we go. Pace car back down into pit road. The green flag drops yet again. Jaden Hopp with a very good launch here. Let's see what Beaver's going to have in store. Heading through 1 and 2, out onto the back straightaway, looking towards the midfield here as well, seeing if any drivers going to try and make some attempts here. Thiel's looking to try and make something happen here. Out of turn 2, the white flag is out. The last chance to dance here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, and it is calamity here through 1 and 2, but it is already too late. The white flag is out through 3 and 4. Beaver trying to stay on the heels of Jaden Hopp, and he does so, but only by a couple car lengths. Jaden Hopp taking home the win. Nick Beaver in second. Michael Keithley in third, as drivers just try and get across the line and finish this race out. What a phenomenal race that we had here today. A very dicey finish. But I think drivers at this point are just going to be relieved that it is all said and done. Jaden Hopp gonna end it off with a celebratory burnout. And my, oh my, folks, what a race that we had here today at North Wilkesboro. I couldn't have asked for anything better. But let's go ahead and get into some post-race interviews here as we watch along here with Jaden Hopp as he does his celebratory burnouts. And the first driver that we will pull up into the booth here today will be Mr. Michael Keithley, coming away with that third place finish. Mr. Michael Keithley, the number 53 machine, doing a phenomenal job here tonight, keeping in the action, staying consistent. Michael, I mean, this has been a chaotic night, to say the least, and for a lot of drivers, including yourself, it was not an easy race to finish out here today, but coming away with a podium finish, taking away that third, you got to be feeling pretty good about yourself. And I mean, Michael, what was your initial expectations coming into this race tonight?
Honestly, my initial expectations were dying within 50 laps. Someone was under me like 10 laps before, and I somehow got all my spots back, which shouldn't have happened, but I'll take it. First podium in a league, so I'll take that. Hopefully I can stay consistent and more to come. I was really hoping for a win. I had good tires, but I'll take a third.
Well, and with this race being out of the way, this being one of the more, I don't want to say the most difficult, but more challenging on the schedule. But next week we head to Phoenix, and Phoenix in its own right can be more or less challenging as well. What do you kind of hope to accomplish next week at Phoenix? I mean, you're on a good roll here tonight, coming away with a podium. What's kind of your goal for next week now that you have that top 3 under your belt?
Honestly, more of the same. If I can just stay consistent, stay out of trouble, and run for at least a top 5, like that's what I'm aiming for. And like if I can do that, I'll be golden in my opinion. I would love to win a race, but I'm waiting for Daytona on that one. But Phoenix, I think we're going to have some issues with the dog leg and people trying to spread it, 5 wide or something, try to get in spots. So if I can just survive and stay out of trouble, I think I'll be good.
Well, Michael, and after coming away tonight with, coming into the night with a little bit of uncertainty and not really, too sure on where you were going to end up tonight, coming away with that top 3, looking forward to next week. Anyone you want to give a shout out to or thank for your success tonight before you head out and prepare yourself for Phoenix next week?
You and everyone in Team Goon Squad for putting on the league after VRL closed down, keeping us going and keeping most of the group together. Sean, Ashley, all the guys in here, they've coached me essentially since I started, and I've gotten better. And like to give a shout out to what's his brother? Oh God, what's his name? Anyways, the one who had open heart surgery. Hope you're doing well. Get better. Other than that, that's it.
Well, Michael, thank you for joining me up here in the booth. Congratulations again on your podium finish here tonight. I certainly love getting a chance to talk with you. It seems like we haven't been able to do this in a while, so great to have you up here, and I hope to get to talk to you next week. But good luck, and hopefully we'll see you back up here next week at Phoenix.
Yeah, thanks, Mason. I hope this is the sign of more to come.
Absolutely. You have a great night.
You too.
Alrighty, folks, so that was Michael Keithley out of the booth here, coming away with that top 3 finish. Up next, we were going to have Mr. Nick Beaver joining us here in the booth, but it looks like he is going to be making the early exit from the track here today. So up next, last and certainly not going to be least here, Jaden Hopp. The number 81 driver. Jaden, it has been an exciting night watching you here tonight. It has been a tough race, to say the least. I mean, you and Nick Beaver, Howie Briss, Patrick Colby even for a little while. I mean, all of you guys were looking at an opportunity to come away with a win. And Jaden, I mean, you kept your head down, you stayed consistent, and once things were kind of leaning in your favor, it was all just a matter of just staying clean and consistent, and you managed to pull away a win here. And also with that, I would have to imagine that you have decreased the gap between yourself and Nick Beaver in the championship points by just a little bit. I will have to do that, make sure that's all updated after this race here. But Jaden, I mean, you've got to be feeling on top of the world, a very challenging race, and coming away with another win here. What's kind of your thoughts on tonight? Did you expect to come away with a win, or was it not quite in the forecast for yourself here tonight?
I was kind of thinking it'd be a good race, like, before we even started, but with how long of it was, I wasn't too sure, honestly.
Well, Jaden, I mean, you managed to pull off some very, very good laps here. You managed to keep yourself out of the, you managed to keep yourself away from a lot of the incidents that were happening around the track, and I think that alone was a big help in making sure that you stayed out there in the front. But looking next week, we head to Arizona, we head to Phoenix next week, and what's kind of your goals and expectations there?
I'm not too sure, honestly. It'd be cool to win the race since it's my home track and all, but I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on Phoenix.
Well, Jaden, I certainly look forward to seeing you next week. It's been a pleasure to watch you here tonight. You put on a heck of a show. You'll have to go back and watch the broadcast and watch it towards the end, because you and Beaver, man, you guys were putting on a great race there towards the end, and as well as throughout the race here, Jaden. But before I let you go, before you get to celebrating, anyone you want to give a shout out to or thank before you go tonight?
I'd like to thank you for putting on the league and the broadcasts, and my mom and grandma for watching.
All right, Jaden. Well, I want to thank you for joining me up here in the booth and congratulate you again on your victory here. And good luck to you next week, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you again.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You have a great night. Alrighty, folks. So that is Jaden Hopp, our race winner, out of the booth here tonight, coming away with another victory and moving his way back up the championship standings. That is going to do it for our coverage here tonight of race number 6 of the Team Goon Squad Cup Series here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. As always, my name is Mason Heimbaugh, bringing you the action here tonight. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch all the action that we have here throughout the week right here on Team Goon Squad. Make sure you are prepared for next week's action. Same time, same place as we head to Phoenix Raceway for race number 7. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Borcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let it go very far.
Come out here
for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham still one-on-one, up into second place. Alex Johnson, 6/10 to lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons